No one saw it coming, not even the radar. According to initial reports, at exactly 02:17 a.m., one of Iran's most protected oil depots vanished from radar for a few fleeting seconds before it erupted in a firestorm that could be seen from orbit. Massive explosions lit up the surrounding infrastructure, turning pipelines into molten rivers. And here's the kicker. Before the explosion, the system went blind by choice. An operator watching multiple screens reported signals that didn't make sense, logs that vanished, and radar readings that flickered for less than 10 seconds. Was it a technical glitch, human error, or something far more deliberate? Either way, the silence that preceded the fire left defense systems paralyzed, and the world would later realize that a carefully orchestrated precision strike had already begun without anyone noticing. Hundreds of kilometers away, Israeli F-35I stealth fighters infiltrated contested airspace, flying between 25,000 and 30,000 feet, exploiting terrain masking and radar blind zones. They avoided expected corridors entirely, entering through fragmented western approaches, while F-15I strike jets followed, carrying 18 to 22 precision-guided munitions. Then, a moment of extreme risk occurred. One F-35 climbed briefly above its stealth envelope. For a split second, it was exposed to long-range radar. If one system had reacted, this entire strike could have failed in seconds. Yet nothing happened. Every defense node hesitated. The aircraft vanished from detection, leaving Iran blind to the fact that its most critical petroleum infrastructure was about to be destroyed in minutes. Iran's air defense network, theoretically capable of tracking over 100 targets simultaneously and engaging threats beyond 200 kilometers, was supposed to prevent exactly this scenario. But centralized command dependency became its Achilles heel. Batteries waited for authorization, orders conflicted, seconds dragged into eternity. One officer pushed for launch, another demanded restraint. The officer's hands shook over the console. One wrong move, and decades of strategic planning would vanish in fire. Systems designed to detect speed, not silence, were powerless against an enemy exploiting hesitation, conflicting commands, and human indecision, turning technical sophistication into chaos in the opening moments of the strike. Seconds before impact, electronic warfare systems activated. Not mere jamming, but controlled deception. False formations appeared across radar screens, approaching from north, south, and east. Units repositioned, signals conflicted. One battery requested confirmation before firing, yet never came. Inside a control room, an operator stared at multiple overlapping targets, unable to discern which was real. He tried to report the anomaly, then paused. It didn't add up. Multiple missile systems were primed, but in hesitation, the opening widened. Meanwhile, precision munitions were already en route, leaving Iran's most protected infrastructure exposed. This was a manipulation of perception, a psychological strike before a single missile even arrived, and a prelude to destruction few imagined possible. The strike unfolded in minutes. Between 18 and 22 munitions were deployed, targeting fuel tanks, pressure junctions, and critical pipelines. The first detonation triggered cascading explosions across multiple depots. Fireballs rose hundreds of meters, shock waves obliterated nearby storage, and the resulting inferno consumed equipment and fuel reserves in moments. Damage estimates reach $1.3 billion, equivalent to days of conventional bombing, but compressed into less than half an hour. Enough fuel to power half a country for a week, gone in 25 minutes. Emergency response teams were overwhelmed, unable to contain the firestorm. Yet, amid calculated destruction, the operation retained precision. Not every blast was random, and not every target was known to the defenders, amplifying fear and confusion within Iran's command network. One target wasn't even on the original strike plan, yet it was hit anyway. Whether by last-second adjustment or a hidden contingency, the impact caused the largest secondary explosion of the operation. Precision merged with chaos. Control turned into uncertainty. Which makes you wonder, was it a last-second decision or a hidden message? Defenders were left questioning whether the devastation was part of the mission plan or a demonstration of superior strategic intelligence. This single, unexpected strike amplified the scale and psychological impact beyond what raw numbers could convey, leaving observers and analysts alike stunned by the operation's audacity and reach. Iran finally responded. Missiles launched, defense systems activated. They tracked, they locked, they fired. They missed. Not because the targets escaped, but because some didn't exist. Signals fed directly into decoy loops manipulated the radar network. The defenses weren't bypassed, they were exploited. Disoriented and distracted, multiple batteries fired at phantom threats while the real munitions struck unimpeded. Every attempt to regain control failed. The attackers never needed to engage in a direct confrontation. The strike had been won with perception, deception, and timing. It was a surgical strike, not of brute force, but of mind and data, leaving even the most advanced systems impotent. The entire operation lasted approximately 25 minutes. Entry, strike, and exit executed flawlessly. By the time systems recalibrated, aircraft were already gone. No interception, no engagement, just silence, broken by fire and destruction. Modern warfare is now defined not by how much you hit, but by what your enemy sees and believes. Because if you control perception, you control reaction. And if you control reaction, you control failure. Maybe that radar didn't fail. Maybe it saw exactly what it wasn't supposed to and let it happen. If this was only a test, the real target was never the oil. And the scariest part? They might already know the next one.